that provide a deeper understanding of the climate change's impact on our daily lives. Visitors can learn about the science behind our changing climate, how to advocate for climate justice, and how to support bold actions informed by science. Action for Earth with the Science Museum of Minnesota. More at smm.org/action.
The viewpoints expressed in this program are the opinions of the people expressing them and are not necessarily those of Fresh Air Incorporated, its staff, or its board of directors.
I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane. Glad to be here and glad to have you along as well. It looks like summer's finally rolling into Minneapolis. They're saying that last night's 30 degrees might be the last we'll see, at least for a few days. And maybe we'll be creeping into the 60s and maybe as close to 70s down the road a little bit. So I'm so glad. I'm glad to see the sun. It helps. We have a wonderful program today. I've got several guests in. I want to start by acknowledging and saying hello to my good friend, one of the superstars, one of the great human beings on the planet Earth, blues master, Bobby Rush. Bobby Rush, how you doing, man?
Hi, Paul. Good to see all you guys, man. Good to be here. I'm just glad to be alive and glad to be seen, man.
Well, you look great. You look great. You have had a career that is nothing short of phenomenal. Tell me how many records you've made, how many Grammys you've been nominated for and won, and talk a little bit about your career.
Well, first of all, I'm from a little place called Homer, Haynesville, Louisiana, but I left in 1947. I started recording in the early 50s, and I've been recording this year for 71 years. I have 397 records. I've been up for a Blues Award 31 times. I won 18 of those. I've been up for a Grammy 6 times. I won 2 of those. And I'm feeling good and still learning. And still, I know enough to know I don't know anything yet. So I'm just glad to be here, man, with you guys, you know.
Is the world coming back, Bobby Rush? I ask that because you are a showman, entertainer who's on the road all the time. And everybody in the world has had their schedule, their lifestyle affected by COVID-19 and somewhat by the George Floyd, interruption or insurrection nationwide. But from the musician and artist point of view, are things coming around now?
Yeah, things are coming back now. They're not coming back as fast as we wanted to come back, at all, not in the fashion that we wanted to come back. It's going to be different now. It's just a new norm now. And we got to get used to what we got to get used to. And we got to approach it differently than we had to have in the past. It ain't nothing new, because I know the situation with Floyd was a situation where a lot of people, they act like they never heard it if they haven't heard it, but we all as men, especially as black men, as a blues singer, we've been had a neck on our knee on our neck all of my life.
That's right.
And but beyond the issue of that, life is going to be different from now, and everything have changed, really remain the same. So we got to get used to that. First of all, it's nothing new under the sun.
You had a big event, and I think a show cancellation last week. That's kind of one of the reasons I called you a couple of days ago, because I saw on the news that in Jackson there was a major festival going on, and there was some disruption. And one of the days, which I think you were going to perform at, was canceled. What happened down there?
Well, the teenagers, like a lot of part of the country, doing what they shouldn't do. But then again, I don't blame the teenagers all together by themselves, because I blame the system itself, how it's put in place for it to be for it to be listened. I don't want to get into the politics with it, but a lot of things are happening now because it's a plan for it to happen, because, you know, this was a black on black crime, but a lot of times things have been put in place for this to happen, so we can say, I told you all that, what you're going to do to each other. It's a long drawn out thing about that, you know, but the on top plan from the political all the way down to the black and white issues, you know, and I don't want to get into black and white issue about life, but life is life, and that's what it is. And what you see is what you get.
And so you had that disturbance there, the disruption, but absent that, it seemed like that was going to be a signal for the return big events in the Black community? Because you had a powerful weekend scheduled, right?
Let me tell you. Let me talk about that for the weekend. See, this hurt me so bad because the Mudbud Fest really done it in the past, but it's been like a dominant white kind of a thing. They use me because I've sat in a place where I got the white audience and I got the black audience, and I can bring black people to a white audience. It was a mixed audience. It's good, but then it makes my race and me look bad because now when they get ready to do it again, they're gonna be thinking twice behind about the rest because I bring black folks to this kind of a venue, and it may seem bad for my part because I can't get a job because I bring people that are going to interrupt the whole thing's what's going on, and I hope it don't happen like that. But I'm thinking in my heart and head that I'm just sorry it happened because it make me look bad as a race, maybe look bad as a people, for my own people to do this at a place where it's the first time that I've worked in this place setting like this, and we had probably 30,000 people prepared to come to see me on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's interesting, Brother Bobby, that you take that so personal. But when I step back and look at it, brother, I see that kind of thing is happening not only among us, among Black people. You know, the white venues by themselves are also creating and attracting, you know, people that's got to have a bad attitude or a bad situation or a bad understanding. So that kind of violence can erupt anywhere in the country or in the world at any time. And it's admirable on the one hand that you've expressed, you know, your concern and your compassion for both the victims and even the perpetrators who are also victims. You've properly framed them, but you also, you know, raised the question of how the overall market interprets that in terms of a Black presence emerging. And so I think that's admirable that you do that, but I don't want you to take on more responsibility than we have to or should, because this is not just a problem in our community. It's something happening everywhere, you know.
Well, I appreciate it. You uplift my spirit because, you know, at one moment I'm thinking about why Bobby Race. Looked like to me I was a crossover to get Black people to come here. Then this happened to my peoples and me. It made me look like I'm part of the reason. You know, I was just dumbfounded about it. I just hope somewhere down the line that God will fix this world and the peoples in this world where we all can be together and be as one and put this behind us.
Well, I think I think the impulse that you described as terms of the reason for being the attraction to bring people from both worlds together, from all worlds together, is the right impulse. And so I just want to keep taking my hat off to you, Brother Bobby Rush, Master Bobby Rush, because what you've gifted to the world and what the Creator has gifted to you is nothing less than phenomenal and cannot be described otherwise than as a gift. And it's a gift that you have taken and nurtured and worked hard for an entire lifetime to bring that back to your Creator, to demonstrate that you get it and you can do it.
Man, you make me feel so good. Thank you for what you have done. Thank you for what you've done, what you plan to do, because what you say about me as an entertainer, as a person, and as a Black man in this world, what people perceive me to be. So thank you for what you're doing, because you make a stand, you make a point, and you make a dent in this world by trying to put all of us together in music, in the way of music. And you have done this in your past, and you're still doing it. So God bless you with your show and the things you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, because you uplift me, make me do what I do.
Thank you, brother. What's your touring schedule? Where are you going to be around the country?
I'm working. I got a lot of dates on the calendar now. Hopefully this virus don't come back and close us down again. If it don't close us down again, I got some plans to be from Germany to Europe, from Spain to Mexico to all over the U.S. I just got a lot of dates that I want to do. Some of them with the band, some of them without the band, but nevertheless, my face is in the place, and hoping that we can get back to working, and hoping everybody can get by this day, get their vaccination and get their shots. Do whatever you have to do. Is stay your distance and just be nice to each other, whether you're Black or white or what have you. Let's get it back to rolling and do what we need to do for each other.
Bobby Rush, brother, thank you so very, very
Thank you for
much. You have a
having me.
great, great day. Good to
Thank
talk to you. Bobby sends her love to you. You're
thank
our, you're
thank
our
you, sir.
guy, so we thank you, man.
Appreciate you. Love you. Bless you.
All right, take care. Love you too. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. Great conversation with the master, blues master, living legend, Bobby Rush. And if you don't know his music, shame on you. Go get it. Look him up. Google him on go to Google and get the story, because he's just a wonderful and beautiful human being with powerful music and a powerful story as well. Let me continue with my next guest, and that I'm going to call him Brother Ted Salzman. Ted, we haven't met, I don't think, in person, but I feel connected to you already because I read about your mission and your work. You're here representing your work at the Minneapolis Sailing Center. Tonight, actually, the Sailing Center and you and your team are announcing your 2022 programs with the mission of bringing sailing to all. It's going to be a virtual open house, and the school is going to cover upcoming community events and programs. You're the executive director, and tonight at the open house, you're going to talk about what the plans are, what's going to be going on. So thank you for dropping in today to take a minute to promote tonight, because what I want is for people who are listening on KFAI and checking us out online to jump online and be a part of your open house tonight. First of all, good afternoon. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane.
Thank you so much, Al. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate everything you're doing and having us on. We're really excited about tonight. It's the culmination of a lot of work in the last couple of years, but even further back. And we really have one philosophy that guides what we're doing, and that's bringing joy to people's lives through sailing. And as I understand it, you sailed yourself, and listening to you describe the music that Bobby Rush makes, I kind of think of sailing as an art form in itself. And the wind sort of takes you away, and you kind of become connected with nature in a way that you can't when you're staring at your phone or sitting inside on a computer screen. So it's making music with the wind and with your sail and being on a boat. So we're really excited as an organization to really spread the word about what we're doing, let people know that it's accessible. If you're walking around Vade and you're seeing the boats out there and thinking, hey, who's out there on those boats? What's that like? We're trying to let you experience that with our program.
Well, from your website, I'm reading notes that say the Sailing Center is seeking to foster an inclusive and sustainable community and to teach sailing to all. That you're one of the largest sailing schools in the U.S., that you offer classes for all ages and all skill levels, that the organization was created in 1989 as the Lake Calhoun Sailing School, changed its name to Minneapolis Sailing Center in 2016 to better reflect its mission and values, that you've got about 475 members and thousands of people passing through your doors since you've opened up. And that, here's the part that I love, the Sailing Center is unapologetically committed to diverse cultural identities and programming that welcome new sailors aboard. And you're doing that through projects called like Free Sailing Sundays, boat sharing, multi-generational sailing outings, and affordable memberships and more. So talk about all of that. You mentioned that I'm a sailor. Let me clear it up a little bit, because I don't want to embarrass myself, because I'll be down there sometime this summer checking you out, and I don't want you to have too high expectations of me when I show up. Okay, I tell people I am a sailor, as in military sailor. I was in the Navy, and I was telling your colleague this morning. I said, but that was I was in the Navy in 1966. I don't think you were born yet. You weren't even around. But I have, through that experience of being aboard a U.S. destroyer, a Navy warship, spent a lot of time in the ocean, on the ocean. And what I have is a supreme respect for water, for the ocean, for nature, for the power and the beauty, the serenity, but also the ferocity of the ocean and of the environment and what it can do. I mean, it's just amazing. And when you're describing the musicality of being on the lake and in the wind, I got it. I get it. I get it right away, because that's just true. There's nothing better than that feeling of standing, in my case, standing on the bow of the ship and just looking into the horizon and contemplating, feeling, being at one with the water and the wind. It's a beautiful thing. So to talk about that history that I shared.
Yeah, and
And I'm loving the musicality of talking about them. I'm enjoying remembering this. So please go ahead.
You're starting to get the flow, and that's kind of what it's all about. You think of your experience on this beautiful, vast ocean, and unfortunately, in the Midwest here, the closest thing we have to an ocean is Lake Superior, but in Minneapolis, the closest thing we have is Makaska or Lake Harriet, or some of the other smaller bodies of water. So how do we as an organization get spread the feeling that you got on the bow of a ship overlooking an ocean? How can we use what we have as resources to give others that feeling? And that's really what we're doing. So we've been doing this for 30 years. It started really small, and it's grown sort of as a grassroots nonprofit. So the key to what we're doing is really, it's not about making money. It's not about, you think of yacht clubs as having a locked gate, and it's, finger up, pinky up in the air, sipping champagne. That's not what we're about. We're about community, and we're about welcoming people in to experience what you've described, this beautiful feeling of being on the water. So, the last 5 years or so, we've really tried to look at how do we reduce the barriers to sailing, right? You described, some of the ferocity that can happen around wind and water, maybe some of the perceptions around that. And we're really trying to say, okay, what's holding people back from trying sailing? And what are ways that we can reduce those barriers and get people into the world of sailing or just being outdoors and outdoor recreation? Unfortunately, we know there's just a gap in accessibility to the outdoors and to recreation that exists. So how can we use our resources in Minneapolis and at the Sailing Center to close that gap and to just open up this new world to sailing? So we do that really with a multi-pronged approach of, providing scholarships where there's a financial barrier, providing, connecting with community organizations where maybe there's not a know-how how to get involved. So we'll partner with youth groups like Girls Taking Action or the YWCA or the Doorstep Foundation, organizations like that have groups of kids already in the summertime looking to do fun things. We'll partner with them. They come down for a free or really low cost field trip. They get on the water, within an hour of being there. We kind of explain all the safety stuff. We give the life jackets. And, without fail, you see kids or adults kind of come and, they have a little bit of apprehension trying something new for those who haven't done it. And by the end, without fail, you just see this life and this energy and this smile and this just exuberance emanating off of people when they get off the boats. There's just so many stories of people, woman named Perry who had been in a car accident when she was younger and was, could no longer drive cars and was afraid of driving and boats and that kind of thing. And she, you could tell she's a little nervous coming down, and she got on that boat. And I swear, when she came off, she would not stop talking about how fun it was. And she couldn't wait to tell everyone about it. And she's going to save up and have her daughter and her niece come down and try sailing. And it's that power of showing someone something new, in sailing at large, but really seeing the city and nature from a different perspective. You're so used to walking around the lakes and just being on the outside of the water and looking at it, but seeing the city from the water side, seeing downtown, seeing the sort of everyday life, worries and concerns go away, and you really can't help but focus on what's right in front of you. You have to think about the wind coming over where's the wind coming from, and what other boats are on the water, and sort of all that stuff of, what do I have to do on my calendar? What are emails do I have to respond to? All of that goes away.
Yeah.
So we're doing, more specifically, so we have these free sailing Sunday events, and they're every third Sunday of the month, and it's free. It's really just like it sounds. You come down between noon and 5 on the third Sunday of the month, May through the end of summer, September. You just show up at our facility, and we're on the northeast corner of Makaska, and bring whoever you want. You just got to sign a waiver, and we take you for a 30-minute sailboat ride. So that's just, there couldn't be a lower barrier to trying it out. All you got to do is come down, and we'll give you the basics. We're doing outreach events where, like I said, we partner with community organizations. So if you're part of a group of people, whether it's a nonprofit or if it's a business or something, and you want to try this, and really there's no barrier we can't overcome and get you down to try it. So you would just go to our website, and that's sailmpls.org, and you fill out a little form under the community partnerships tab, and we'll reach out to you and schedule something. And then we're doing group classes. So we have all of our summer camps for kids. If you think your kid wants to come down, or even as an adult, and try, a day camp, we have that option. And we have, other ways to, if financial piece of it is a barrier, we have scholarships available. Really not saying no to anyone. So, it's really that get in the door. We're going to show you how to do it, and we're going to hopefully have you stay. And so our boat sharing program is really what kind of makes it stay accessible. That's the sustainability piece of what we're talking about. Is you learn how to sail, but then you don't have to go buy your own sailboat. You can just sail ours, and you can be then an ambassador to bring more people sailing. So really, we have get in the door and grow as a sailor. We're even talking about potentially doing some trips down the road, down in the Caribbean and renting boats and doing sailing there. So it's this kind of long-term plan. Ideally, we're looking to grow the diversity of our staff itself. So we've really succeeded in our board of directors, seeking people from different backgrounds, in our students. And then ultimately, when you come down, representation, of course, matters. So seeing yourself and your instructors is a big piece of this. So if you have any, teenage kids looking for a fun summer job, kind of, teaching the summer camp type atmosphere, we have jobs available as well. And we're hoping to grow that part of it. So it's really a big kind of long-term plan that we have to grow access to sailing.
I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. I'm talking with Ted Salzman, who's Executive Director of Minneapolis Sailing Center. Tonight, they're having an open house. And you can go to, he'll give you the website, to their website and find out how to join the open house to check it out and do that. And then, Ted, I've got a bunch of questions. Thank you for that backgrounder. One is a simple question. If I come to the lake, what kind of boats are there? What's the range of boats that you operate with, and what do beginners typically start with? Is it a 2-person or 3-person boat? Is boat the right word?
Yeah. We have sailboats. They're called yachts. They're called other things, but they're a sailboat. They're a 22-foot boat that has a multi-1,000-pound weight. It's called a keel, and that keeps the boat stable. So we have about 5 or 6 people that can fit in these boats. They have 2 sails. They're beautiful, beautiful boats. They have wood trim. They're from the 1960s and 70s. They've been donated over time, and we kind of refurbished them to get them up to sailing condition. But they're really comfortable and have a nice backrest. So you don't picture like a surfboarder where you have to have crazy balance and do all this. It's really a comfortable ride in the sailboat, and it's a very safe sailboat that can't tip over like you have with some smaller boats. So the main ones we use for beginners, adults, are they're called a Pearson Ensign keelboat, and they're really stable and fun. And then we have, for younger kids, we have an 8-foot boat called an Optimist Pram, and it looks kind of like a bathtub, but it's sort of designed for kids 7 to 11 years old, and usually they'll sail with 2 or 3 kids in the boat, and it's sort of designed almost to be a slow and stable kind of way to learn, right? It's not designed to be a sports car of sailboats for little kids to learn, and it's sort of purposefully made to be slower and safer while they learn. And then in between those two, we have it's called a 420. It's 420 centimeters long, and that's where it gets its name. But it's a 2-sail boat, has 2 sails, and it's sailed by 2 people. So that one's a little bit more of a racing performance style boat that we teach on. But really the key one is this bigger, more comfortable Pearson Ensign.
You may have answered the next question. How young is young enough or old enough to be starting to both experience and train?
Yeah, for kids 4 to 6 years old, we have a parent and child class where you would take the class with your kid. I have a 5-year-old son myself, and I'm excited to get him going. Some people think maybe that's a little too young, but it's not. We we don't have any sort of swimming requirements where you need to show you can swim across the lake or anything like that. I'll put you in a life jacket. We have safety boats around all the time, so there's really no need to know how to swim. But we do basically starting at 7 through 11 or 7 through 17 even, we have then the daytime summer camps. So you drop the kid off in the morning, pick them up in the afternoon, and it's sort of what you would think of as a traditional summer camp. So that's Monday through Thursdays throughout the summer, 1 or 2 week sessions. And then once you're, if you're adult age, we have evening classes that are, sort of a group lesson, or we have sort of the customized events that we were talking about with our community partners.
I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. I'm talking to Ted Salzman. He's the executive director of the Minneapolis Sailing Center. They're having an open house tonight. I think it's at 5:30. I'm going to ask you before we close, Ted, to make the invitation to tell people how they can join and support. You're a great interview, number one, because you are leaning into all the questions I have for you before I get to say them. So you make my job really easy. So thank you for being here. And you mentioned that you've got a 5-year-old and you're getting that child into the sport. So how did you get into it? What's your personal story? You obviously have both passion and confidence and competence to feel assuring to people that may be a little bit, uncertain or timid. And your energy is both inviting and reassuring. So tell me your story, you and sailing.
Appreciate those kind words. That's very thoughtful. So I grew up in Minneapolis, and I started, I was a little late to the game in terms of playing sports, but, I did it, kind of 4th, 5th grade around there. And at the time, it was still a pretty small sailing program on the lake. So my brother and I, kind of walking around the lakes, we got involved in it. And my dad had sailed on Bade-Makaska for a while, throughout the 80s and 90s, and sort of encouraged us eventually to try it ourselves. And I'll be honest, I was a timid kid. I was afraid to get out there in those windy days and try it. And, it's part of, I think, my development as a person is to try things, and really for everyone, try things that, you're uncomfortable with, and really learn how to conquer that fear and grow as a person because of it. So as a kid, I would fight tooth and nail not to get out on the water on those windy days, and through, love and encouragement, my dad and also my mom kind of encouraged me to get back out there and try it. And, now I'm not afraid of the sailing, but I see that, in my own child and some of the kids that come to the program, because it can be intimidating to feel the wind pick up, to provide that power and energy on the sail, and kind of lift the boat, forward and give it that energy. But once you learn how to harness that, you have, especially as a kid who doesn't have a driver's license, or maybe doesn't have a bike, or doesn't know how to bike yet or something, to be able to control something and control the means in which it gets power and where it goes, and to sort of have some first taste of freedom of, well, if I want to go over there, I'm going to go over there. If I want to go over here, I'm going to do that. That's what sailing can offer, is sort of getting a little bit over that fear, and then starting to get some agency and some freedom around just moving a vehicle, right? And it happens to be a wind-powered one instead of a motor-powered one, but that's a really empowering feeling for kids and adults too. I mean, that same idea of overcoming the fear of trying to sail, and this thing that, there's all these fancy terms for everything in sailing. You may know as time in the Navy, they have special terms for things like a rope is called a line, and left is port, and right is starboard, and there's almost like people are speaking a different language.
Sure.
We try to be really welcoming and understanding, and not force that part of it too much. But it is, you start to feel like you belong when you know the lingo a little bit, and you feel like you can do what you want with this big boat that has 5 other people in it. So with kids, I would really encourage people to start by trying, maybe coming down on a free sailing Sunday and just seeing what we're about, get to know us. And you don't necessarily have to jump on a boat right away if you're not comfortable, but just see it. And I think once you try it, you'll really be hooked, and your kids as well.
How do you deal with COVID? What did you do last year with putting people close together or not? How did you handle that?
Yeah, so we were lucky in that, being an outdoor sport where there's usually a wind of some
Yeah.
sort, it really, we found, was a reduced risk. And
Okay.
the guidelines from the CDC and the state kind of really supported us being able to, last year especially, reduce those restrictions. So we did have kids who were not of age to be vaccinated yet wear masks on shore.
Right.
But then for safety reasons, when we went on the water, they would take their masks off, because if they were
Right.
to, go swimming or something, obviously a mask wouldn't work. So
Right.
we were fortunate in being an outdoor sport that our limitations were pretty small. And then this year they'll probably be even less. I mean, we're just going to follow the guidelines. But luckily, being outside, we don't pack people in too tightly on the boats, so we haven't had any issues with the COVID.
Two more questions, and then I'll have you make the invitation to our listeners for tonight. First, this is Al McFarlane. You're listening to Conversations with Al McFarlane. My guest is Ted Salzman. He's the executive director of Minneapolis Sailing Center, and we're trying to get you to check out, discover your sea legs. Get on a boat, come and get on a boat, learn about sailing, and you can do it in a way that's really accessible right here in Minneapolis, in South Minneapolis. So everybody's got stories, Ted, about, either a harrowing or a defining moment. And I'm going to ask you, what are the legacy stories you'll pass to your grandkids about, back in 2018, this will be like 2040 or 50. And you'll be talking to your grands and you'll say, well, kiddo, back in 2015, here's what happened. What story like that comes to mind for you?
The funniest story I can think of, and I can see it as clear as if it were happening right now. My dad and I were sailing on what's called a sea scow, the letter C and scow, and it was in a race. And we do racing on the lake where you go around a course of floating buoys. And we come around one of the buoys, and we're about to go up the next leg of the race course. And I look up, and my dad misses a line, and he just falls off the boat, ankles over his head, and I just see the look on his face as he looks up at me. And we're wearing life jackets.
Yeah.
But I see him starting to come. The boat is going forward, and he's still in the water. And I reach in with one hand and kind of grab him and muscle him into the boat, and we just could not stop laughing because he missed. What you do on a sailboat is when the wind picks up, you put your feet in it's called a hiking strap, and it's really just a belt basically for your legs that allows you to lean your weight over the boat.
Right.
So it helps counteract the force of the wind. And
Right.
he was starting to use the hiking strap and just missed it, so his feet just went up and he fell over. And I'll tell you, we haven't laughed that hard since. And there's a yearly award that goes out for the best, almost fail, if you will, kind of the best accident like that. And we got the award that year for that one. So Grandpa Larry is going to go down in history with the grandkids for that.
That's a wonderful story. So take a minute and tell people about tonight again and make the invitation. And maybe people want to support the organization with donations or whatever. Take the time you need to make the invitation to both viewers or participants in the online open house tonight, and also to come down to the center and also to support the center.
Yeah, thanks. So tonight at 5:30 p.m. we'll have a virtual open house through Zoom. We will have different board members, myself, community partners talking about their experience at the program and how to get involved. If you go to our website, which is sailmpls.org, so that's SAILmpls.org, at the top of the website, you'll see a little banner bar that has a link for the meeting tonight. So feel free to join. And what we're going to do is explain our history, a little bit about ourselves, what we do in general, and then sort of the program that we're most excited about, which is our equity and inclusion program, that really is all about making it easy to get involved. And the best way is to just to get involved is to if you'd like to come tonight, great, we'll record it if you can, and we'll share that recording. But The free sailing Sundays are they're so easy. We end up having to just pull people who are walking around the lake and say, hey, do you want to try sailing? And you won't believe the reaction we get of someone who's going about their Sunday afternoon, just enjoying the beautiful outside. And then 10 minutes later, they're on a sailboat and loving it and wanting more. So that would be the first way to get involved is try one of those free sailing Sundays. If you're not able to wait till that Sunday and you want to get involved sooner, go to our website and check out the offerings there. So we have adult classes that are doing signups now. We have private lessons that could just be you and some friends if you want to do a little outing. We have the membership program, which is if you already know how to sail, you can get access to our fleet of boats that you can sail them yourselves and bring your own guests. And we have, of course, the youth camps. So those are getting started. We actually, this Saturday, will be hosting a high school sailing regatta for local high schoolers. And so if you just want to see what that looks like, to see all 20 some boats on a lake like Wedemakasca racing,
Wow.
come down during the day and just check us out. We'll be down there and answering questions and getting to know people as well. So come tonight, see our virtual open house, and then just all you got to do is get your foot in the door, and you'll see we're a really low key, welcoming place. We're really just about having fun. That's the beauty of my job is I'm selling joy, right? And just being outside and living stress free. So it's a great way to unplug from the news of the day or the whatever troubles are going on, and just try and get outside and enjoy it.
If you got a few minutes more, well, 1-2 more questions came to mind. Over the course of the conversation you have, and I think I've talked about it a little bit, but talked about diversity. And I'm glad that you all are being very intentional. So let's explore that, how that intentionality, where it comes from. And are there some misperceptions about, say, Black people and the lakes and sailing, or do Black people have misperceptions about sailing? And not just Black people, I'm asking because I'm Black, but maybe what I'll say is quote unquote ordinary people. Do ordinary people have misperceptions? I think you addressed that, but if you would, what kind of barriers do we erect in our minds that keep us from knowing each other around something that's very common and that we all can have and should have equity in? Is that a fair question for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sailing does certainly have a history of exclusivity, unfortunately. So there is a real history that is, we have to grapple with, and that we have the opportunity to change. But there is an idea that it's a fairly wealthy white sport. I mean, there's no way around looking at that history of it and the perception of it. But that doesn't mean that's today's reality, or that all programs are like that, or that it needs to be like that. Obviously, it shouldn't be like that. And so the perception that it's not for me, not for you, not for anyone, is one that we're trying to break down and get rid of, because it's not true. Sailing is for everyone, no matter what reason you think it might not be for you, it is. So the other concerns that you've talked about are ones like the ferocity of sailing, or the weather, of wind, that kind of thing. We are really fortunate in Minneapolis that we have these lakes that are pretty contained. We have big lakes. We have Lake Minnetonka. We have Lake Superior. Although Lake Minnetonka, of course, is safe, and so is Superior. But we have a small enough lake where it's like having bumpers at the bowling alley, right? You're in a small area where there's safety boats nearby, there's life jackets on, there's always someone there to help you. And so any sort of fears that a storm might arise, or that the wind is too strong, or something like that, that's knock on wood, not true where we are. And we really work to keep things safe and to keep things comfortable. So we don't ever send anyone out in a condition that they're uncomfortable in. So this idea around safety is a big one, because that's our top priority. I mean, we want everyone to have fun, but the best way to do that is to be safe. And then affordability. So sailing to this day has a very high cost, elite racing, program that exists in U.S. sailing, not in U.S. sailing, but in the very high level America's Cup. They spend millions and millions of dollars on these very fast carbon fiber boats, and that's part of sailing, and that's an innovative part. And there's big corporate sponsors for that, but that's not all of sailing, right? So that perception isn't true at a place like Minneapolis Sailing Center, where we have 100 sailboats, and we have them there for people to use. You don't need to own a mega yacht like they do in Monaco or something. We have boats available for people to get on and try, for $0 if that's what is holding people back. So the barrier in terms of cost just isn't really there. And then you don't have to have grown up sailing. You don't have to have grown up as an Olympic swimmer, any of those things. It's we're here to teach people who've never stepped foot on a sailboat, never stepped foot on water, any of those things. We look to really not be a barrier to you having fun and experiencing the outdoors.
Let me ask you, if you're introducing somebody to the water this way, how do people compare the entry of being in the water sport through a sailboat or through a canoe or through a motorboat? What do you say are the mindsets of people as they weigh how they're going to go, and how do they come to one decision versus the other? Or is it your experience that people say, I love the water, let me try it this way, let me try it that way, let me try it another way, and they find that they have the capacity to enjoy the variety of opportunities and modalities to engage the outdoors and the lakes and the water? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I personally like all forms of watercraft and water sports, and I think really the things that set sailing and canoeing apart from motorboats are, for me, it's funny, as a kid, if I would smell gasoline around a motorboat, there's this idea of a motor and this thing that was really kind of strong and powerful and a little intimidating. You hear the sound of a motor, right? It's like hearing a motorcycle rev. With sailing, you don't have this loud motor going in the background, and the same is with canoeing. So I think from the get-go, you don't have this sort of thing that you don't have control over, like a motor per se. And the wind and the sounds that are, it's just a quiet, relaxing environment that really allows you to experience the outdoors in a way that, with a motorboat, you can shoot across the lake as fast as you want, and you make all this wake, and it's loud, and that's great. There's a lot of ways to enjoy that, and I don't have anything against motorboats. I love them myself, but it's so unique, the experience you get with sailing or with canoeing. I will say with sailing, often with canoeing, you'll get in a canoe and you'll start having fun, and you'll be an hour out and go, I'm tired of paddling. My arms are sore.
You got to paddle back.
My back is sore. I want to walk around. The nice thing about a sailboat, especially ours, is you can walk around. You can, pack a little small snack, a little lunch, and there really isn't a very physical toll on your body with a sailboat, because you're letting the wind do the work for you. And I've found that, without fail, people that come out and try it, they do get a little boost in self-confidence. You get an excitement from, like I said, learning something new and realizing, hey, this is something I could make a part of my life, or I could do more of, especially knowing it's accessible. So I think sailing is in a unique position that it's not very physically taxing, but you're also moving fast and having fun on the water.
What are the one person boats that you see people on in lakes? I don't even know the name for them, but
yeah, the most
tell
popular
me about those.
The most popular one is in the world, I would say, is used to be called the Laser. There's some trademark issues, and now it's the ILCA. But it's a one-person boat, about 14 feet, and it's
like a
really
surfboard with the sail, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It looks, well, the ones that are actually a surfboard with a sail, those are windsurfers, and they usually will be around Minneapolis when the winds get 15 to 20 miles an hour, and that takes a little bit more wind, and that is a physically demanding sport. And we don't necessarily teach windsurfing, but we do have boats that are a one person option that will will lend themselves to racing and that kind of thing. So.
Okay, great. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And I know you've got a busy day getting ready for your event this afternoon, but great conversation. Thank you so much. And look for me sometime this summer. I'll be down there.
Can't wait. Thanks a lot for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you too. Take care. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. What a great conversation. Let me remind you to check him out today, the Minneapolis Sailing Center. What I love about this program is that they're coming up with a way to offer, what they've identified as affordable and low-cost sailing and recreation opportunities for the community, for community members in Twin Cities. And today's open house this afternoon, this evening, is going to be a place where you can learn about the center, about its community partners. Some of its board members are going to be there and they'll share their experiences. And you can learn about how they organize and create safe and engaging programming. I meant to ask him, I forgot to this, but we talked about it, but about the multi-generational experience, how this sailing project is by design one that is multi-generational. So, they tell you if it's your first time on the water or if you're a seasoned sailor like Al McFarlane, they've got a training program for you and they want you to check them out. I think I might have mentioned that they've got some 475 members, but they've trained and worked with thousands over the years. And what else can I say about them? I'm excited. Who connected with me on this is a good friend, Kamali Williams. She's been on this program before. She's a director at the center, and she's the daughter of one of my best friends, Elder Mahmoud El-Khati. And she's a sister of the international music star, Stokely Williams from Mint Condition. And so, it's just wonderful that she has jumped in, hook, line, and sinker, as they say, recognizing the value and the need to get our people to think about this venue, this opportunity, this strategy for getting on the water, getting outdoors, getting physical, getting healthy. I think it's a wonderful thing. By the way, I mentioned Mahmoud El-Khati. He's going to be getting an honorary doctorate from his teaching school, McAllister College, this month. So as that materializes, we'll let you know and try to get Elder, then Dr. Mahmoud El-Khati to be on the program. He's been a favorite of mine and a favorite of everybody in the market for years and years and years as a lecturer, as an educator, as a thinker, and as a doer. And he's promoted the idea of consciousness, of awareness, and of dismantling the notion of race and elevating the notion of our shared humanity and how we get past the ignorances that bind us into failing each other as human beings. And so kudos to Brother Mahmoud El-Khati, and kudos to the McAllister College for bestowing this great honor on him. I'm going to ask if my colleagues at the station come on board for the last 3 minutes. Mason, I'm looking at you there. I'm going to bring you into the program to help me wrap it up here.
Sure.
Mason,
Sure.
how you doing, man?
Me, I'm all right. It's good to see you there. It's good to
It's
see
good
you.
to see you again as
Yeah.
well. I
Mhm.
thought that was a great interview. I loved it. I love
Yeah.
what the
Are-
opportunity represents
you
for our
in-
community.
Are you, in fact, an avid sailor?
Am I?
Yes.
At present, no, but in my mind, I am. I think I truly do remember being, when I was 20 years old, 1920, in the Navy. I remember the feeling. I remember specific, days and places and times on the water when you just are in an overwhelmingly peaceful place. I actually, Mason, had purchased my first stereo system, I think, at one of the ports in the Mediterranean, maybe in Naples or somewhere.
Mhm.
and had it on, and I had some records. My favorite musician then, as now, was John Coltrane, and I remember being able to sit on the one of the front decks, they call it the forecastle of the ship, and have my record player and speakers set out, and we're cruising in the Mediterranean. The water is like glass, green glass, beautiful, sunny, and not overly hot, but turning on John Coltrane and listening to my favorite things and watching the most peaceful Mediterranean Sea ever, or watching that and listening to a tune called Lonnie's Lament or Crescent. I actually remember the act of listening to those songs as I was looking at the Mediterranean Sea and observing the beauty of it. So yeah, and I tell people, Mason, that my experience as a sailor includes riding through two hurricanes, and that's where I say I have an appreciation for the power and the force of water. And I can tell you that my memory, what it's closest to that people who aren't sailors would recognize. Remember the Walt Disney Fantasia cartoons where the person who's the apprentice took some of the tools of the master sorcerer and didn't have control, and waves and all kinds of phenomenal things were happening that he was having fun with, but he really wasn't prepared to handle. That's kind of the way the ocean is when you're sailing in a hurricane. And I just remember this in my mind, huge, heavy destroyer, and they actually are not that huge, like maybe 340 feet long, but they're big. They're still big,
Right.
you know. And I remember how we traversed waves and gullies in the ocean. There was a pendulum on the bridge, so we could always see what the list was, either left or right. And the story was that the ship was built to sustain a 45-degree list. And the implication was if you hit 46 or 47 degrees, you had a big problem, like capsizing.
Right.
And I remember coming close to, if not almost going past the 45-degree mark in the list, being buffeted by the waves. That's one thing, walking side to side. I remember walking up and down the, what's the right word for it? The hall. It's probably not the right word now. I can't remember, but the main hallway inside the ship. And when the ship, leans or lists to the right, you're walking on the wall of the left wall of the ship, and the ship lists the other way. You're walking, at the bottom, but actually on the wall. And I remember another sensation was standing at the bottom of a set of stairs, and thinking about going up to the next deck from below decks. And when the ship crashes down or falls after a wave disappears beneath it, the ship goes down. You go up. One step gets you up 10 stairs. And it's a wonderful, crazy feeling, dangerous. But yeah, so I love the sea. I loved it. I loved it very much. Have you ever sailed or anything?
Me, no. You're not getting me too close on the boat. I know it's the city of lakes, and it's the land of 10,000 lakes, but I've been in probably 6 of them. It's fine. I guess you call me a landlubber or something like that. But I like to look at the water, but I do respect the power of the ocean, the power of the lake, the power of the water, under the ice. We have a lot of thick ice here. And even then, sometimes you can look down and you can see a rushing, and just reminds you the fragility of life and how we're here in nature. Nature's not here for us.
That's right. Got to keep things in perspective, right? The right perspective. Keeps you
Absolutely.
humble, but makes you appreciate it all the more. Well, Mason, thank you for hanging out with me these last few minutes. I know you've got some station business to do and
Oh, sure.
promotions out. I'm going to turn the program over to you. And thank you so much. Thank you to all of you who are listening on KFAI. Hope you love the program. If you also checking us out on Facebook or YouTube, we would love you to subscribe to our YouTube channel or to like and share our Facebook program. We enjoy so much doing this program and spending this time with you. And we hope that you feel this is time well spent. And we'd love to have your ideas and suggestions. Oh, can I say one more thing? I happen to have some tickets to the Guthrie Theater's presentation of A Soldier Story for this Friday night. And Mason, if it's okay, I'd be glad to offer that to anyone that calls into the station if we have the capacity to take a call
certainly.
or two. If we
Certainly.
can take if viewers or listeners want to call the station and claim, we can offer tickets to the first several that call, a pair of tickets each. So if you write down the number, we'll go from there. Listen, I'm Al McFarlane. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Al.
And I'll check back with you, Mason. Bye-bye.
Sounds good. I will make sure to let you know who has won those tickets.
Great. Thank you.
As you heard, tickets for the Guthrie Theater this Friday, a production of A Soldier Story. You can call or text us now at 612-341-0980. Sounds like we have several pairs of tickets. So I can take those at that number right now. Do your best right now to get me off of the microphone. I want to listen to this particular Coltrane tune. There we go. This is the song that Al was speaking about, gazing over the Mediterranean, and I'm going to stop babbling over it and grab some tickets.